guess you can say it runs in the family. My mom is a teacher of 40 plus years. She's technically retired, but she's teaching adults currently. So I grew up with, teaching, open house, helping her decorate her room. I grew up in schools basically, so she was what motivated me and inspired me to be a teacher. I think the biggest reward has to be putting in time with your students and seeing them succeeding, seeing them growing up. I've seen their growth and their development, and it's just rewarding seeing that. So I work with high school students that are seniors and they're 18, and I'm excited for them to be an adult and go to college and do all that. And it's nice to see how much inspiration I was to them, through their development, through athletics and, school and all that. BMA has great colleagues. We're all hard workers here. We put in a lot of time. You come to this campus early, there's teachers already here working on things. You drive by late, there's still teachers here working. There's teachers always helping the students, doing tutorials during lunchtime, on their free time. I do like our dynamic here. We work very well together as a team. Teaching, you can't go home and, I have the weekend off, I'm not going to think about my job. It's very difficult. You take your job home with you, and it's something that I do. I think about my students and my athletes all the time, and I enjoy truly what I do.
Very quick review, the power words of the week. Everybody says the word build, please. Build.
I grew up in Mexico. Most of my education I did in Mexico. My mom was a teacher, and she had to stop being a teacher to take care of 4 daughters, but her passion for learning and teaching didn't stop. I guess that's how the love for teaching started, when I was little and seeing my mom's passion for it. We always have that writing for them. What do you want to be when you grow up? And they might not have an idea at that time, but it is important. Education that starts a plan for their life. And even though at the time that they're 6, it's barely a dream, they're barely dreaming, but it's a plan that they can follow for life. To know that we can inspire students to become someone, to help them believe on their capabilities, on their abilities, to help them believe on themselves, and to help them to know and realize that they can change their lives. That education, it is, I guess, a fundamental thing to be successful in life. You have to make teaching fun. Every concept, for some students, math might be easy, or reading, it depends. But when a concept is really hard for them, you have to make it fun. Every single student has a different learning style, and we just have to find it. As a teacher, it's our work to find it. And making our lessons fun and engaging, that's what really is meaningful to them. I do think that the biggest reward as a teacher is to know that you're able to inspire students, or motivate them to continue with education and dream and believe in themselves. I hope if I am doing that, then I'm satisfied with what I'm doing.
It's been amazing. Mind you, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. I probably still have about 6 of my former teachers that are now my colleagues, and also a very solid support system. And it's just always been reassuring and good to know that I have them to kind of fall back on and ask for advice, wisdom, even if I just need someone to vent to. I know I can count on them, so that's always been very reassuring to know. I think for me, it's always been, I feel like building rapport with students has always been my strong suit, over years and trying to get better at that. I think it's just letting the student know that you have a genuine interest in their success in your classroom, and knowing that, you putting pressure on them to not only do the work in class, but to learn some of the more difficult concepts, or learn some of the things that maybe they don't see an instant connection to, like how am I going to use this in the real world. It's just really emphasizing that you always have their success in mind. Like anything and everything that I do in my classroom is always going to be with their success in mind, whether they like it or not. It's just kind of been one of those things that I tell students, like, hey, sometimes we have to do things we don't like. It's unfortunate, but it has to get done, and you're going to be better for it because of it. I definitely think it's seeing the students years later when they come back and visit. It's definitely a slow burn on the instant gratification you get from teaching, because I think 75% of it is the stressors of work, and that is definitely, at least for me, it's been the payoff to stay in teaching and to continue to want to come back from teaching. This is speaking from someone that went to school to become a counselor. I was just really missing that connection and that ability to work with students, and so it's definitely been enough motivation for me to want to come back and how are my students doing, how can I help them, and how can I continue to be a part of their success and their journey through life.
It's not what I have to do, is what I have the opportunity to do. I'm a product of San Benito. There were so many people or so many mentors that I had. They walked these hallways, they were coaches here or they were teachers here. All the people that taught me life lessons. And I was very blessed that at a very young age, I knew that I wanted to teach and then I wanted to coach. Once I got out of college, I knew middle school was my calling. I knew it. You see that kid that comes in rough around the edges or timid or stuff like that, but you're able to work because these kids are so moldable. I've had a lot of athletes that, man, God bless their soul, their mom's got cancer or one of them is not in the picture, how do you expect them to perform? You can't. I wish every kid can say, mom and dad are in the picture or we're okay financially, or, everybody's there for me, or, I've had a great upbringing. A lot of these kids don't have that. A lot of these kids don't walk into campus like that. Half of the time, we don't even know how these kids can make it to campus like that. And you say, you know what, this guy or this coach care about me, and then at the end of the day, you guide them enough, they know which path to take. And if we have that opportunity to do that, why not? I'd rather be the one to do something about it than to be the one to complain. If you're a teacher and you impacted somebody so much that they also became a teacher, that they decided to be you. They decided to do what you're doing. That's a whole different level of an impact you have on a kid. We're here to create young men and young ladies that are gonna grow up and become great adults. And that if the sports that they do here help them to make those right decisions in 5-10 years from now, then we've done our job.
1, 2, 3,
I'm proud of myself because I work hard every year with my kids. I feel that I do the extra mile with them, kind of like making sure the way I get them in the beginning, that's not the way they leave my classroom. And I think it paid off. It does pay off. I started taking classes at the university, then I became a substitute for BISD. Then one time I was there working at a campus and I realized that this is what I like to do. Then the memory of my father always kept like in the back of my mind, like you have to get an education. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 12, but I guess his memory of always get educated, do something in life. Also, I got married at a very young age. So I can say the unconditional love of my husband and my 3 beautiful daughters always kept me moving. The rewards I find in teaching, it's sending students prepare for the next grade level. I find that every day is not the same, and especially having 25 5-year-olds in my classroom is definitely not the same. it can be pretty fun. The kids can be very spontaneous, and what I like about them is that they think what it's in their mind. So sometimes they say random stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness. But I mean, it's fun. It's 25 of them, so every kid is very unique. It's an honor to be representing your school. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I feel very humbled to get that recognition.
I'm teaching at Dr. Cash Elementary. First of all, I want to thank to my extended family, Dr. Cash Elementary. I have been in an awesome team. We believe we are in the perfect place, and I think Dr. Cash is the perfect place to work. And it is an honor to me to be nominated like a Teacher of the Year. I teach because teaching is my call, it's my passion. When I was in elementary, middle school, high school, they always said, you should be a teacher, you should be a teacher. No, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be something else. When I finished the bachelor degree in computer science, they offered me a position for being teaching. I said, okay, that's very interesting. And I started working as a math teacher, and I love it. I like it. I say I should pay attention to my teachers. There's a lot of things to do, and sometimes our kids are coming from a lot of things from home, so we need to be for them. Like one of the parents said, so at home I have one boy and one girl, and I don't know what to do with them. What do you do with 25? I say, hey. I say, no, it is something like we need to know how to manage all of these things, and not being like affecting yourself. So we need to work in ourselves and work with the kids and parents at the same time. I just want to add that teaching is rewarding in too many things, especially when we see students like former students, or high school students. I have a few high school students, and I say, okay, they remember me, they are doing very good, because a lot of them, they don't have the support at home, or parents, they don't know what to do. And I say, we can learn together. We can learn and find the ways to go, to lead them to go to college. So it is kind of like rewarding for all of these things we do.
Very good. Yes. Good job. My name is Juliana Barrientos. I teach at La Paloma Elementary. I teach 4th grade, and this would be my 10th year teaching. I was raised in a very humble home. I had that example from my parents. He didn't go to school, but he didn't go to school because he had to work. But he's such a hard worker. That was my example. I've always felt the need to help people, make them want to pursue their dreams, live better, have a nicer life, help out their family, have the means to help out their family, be able to get a good job, to support themselves and their loved ones. It's so important for us to make a difference in the classroom, and not only academically, but personally, to instill good values in our students so they can be compassionate people that help others and not hurt other people. You need to be very caring. You need to really love those kids, because if you do and you care about them, everything else will come together. You will work hard for them. You won't give up on them. You're gonna treat that child like if it was your own. Every child that comes into my room, I consider them my child, and they will always be my child. And I do the best I can for them. I don't give up on them, no matter how much they struggle and how much they do want to give up, because some students, they come with the mentality that I am not smart, because I've seen it that I'm not smart. And I always tell them, you are smart. And you tell a child that they're smart so many times that they will believe you and they will eventually perform and grow and blossom. And that is so beautiful to watch. And that's why I love being a teacher. And I love seeing that. That is beautiful. All my kids, they're all smart. And to me, that's what I tell them. I treat them like they were my own children. Good job, guys. Sit down. Good job.
It was my 7th grade coach that inspired me to want to work with kids. Like, she was just so approachable. She was so lovable. Like, she was always available. If we were, not being ourselves, like, she could notice. Meeting up or keeping up with all the strategies of teaching it can be very overwhelming, very daunting. I work at a middle school, and I know that student behavior is a thing everywhere. It doesn't matter how old you are. You're sometimes going to have those troubled kids or those kids that are in the bubble, and so trying to build those relationships is hard. It's hard when they're misbehaving. It's hard when when you have so many tasks. It's challenging, very challenging. If you do not build a relationship with students, it doesn't matter how much you know, they will not listen to you. So it's so important that you build a relationship with that student, because the students will remember you for the rest of their lives. And so you will motivate them to be the best version of themselves. I guess that intrinsic motivator of like, hey, I'm gonna impact somebody that's gonna one day be running, the city, be running a doctor's office, be running the roads that are being constructed. And so key to it is building relationships. You have to build relationships with kids. I could, because I have a master's degree in public administration, like I could be working with a city, and I enjoy working with people in general, but like to be in the classroom, you literally have to have a spark. Like you have to have that love for helping somebody else grow. Over the years, my passion for teaching has grown, and so I'm honored to be here at BC. I'm honored to work with San Benito CISD, and I'm honored to make an impact in children's lives every day.
Good job. I love the way Rachel is sitting. And
my name is Kesia Martinez. I am a pre-K3 teacher at Frank Roberts Elementary. I mean, it is a big difference from first grade to pre-K3, but I love them. They're like my babies. They're so cute. They're 3, so they're not that independent, but I love to build that independence in them. I love to see them grow. I love to see them from the beginning of the year, and then you can see after December, you can see their big difference, and they're just learning. Everything for them, it's a learning experience. Everything. I love the little ones. Yes, I wouldn't see myself with the upper graders or other grade levels. I think I'm very patient, so I think I have a very good connection with them. I love to get interested in what they like and what they dislike, and then I can build a connection with them and build a relationship, and so they can trust me. I think that's my maternal grandmother. She was a teacher in a rural area in Mexico.
You ready?
So she started teaching very young, and she would always tell me stories about her teaching experiences, but those stories were like funny stories. Like, I think that I remember she would tell me that during lunch, since it's a rural area, they would go have lunch at their houses, at their homes, and then they would come back and, continue with the lesson. And then she was like, I can tell you what you eat. I know what you ate. And they were like, but how? And she's like, because I have teacher powers. So she would be like, you ate spaghetti and you ate tacos with cheese or something like that. And they were like impressed, like, how did she know? And then she would tell me it's because they had a little bit of spaghetti sauce here on the side, or they had some cheese. And so the way that she would tell me those stories, the way that she connected with the students, it made me see like the noble side of the teaching profession, and that really inspired me to be a teacher one day. I think that it's knowing that I'm making a difference in their lives, because sometimes for some of them, the school, it's all they have, or it's that having their teacher, it's the only authority figure that they see or that they have in their life. So for me, knowing that I am making a difference and that I am planting that little seed of knowledge in them, it's what inspires me to continue teaching. I think they would say that they enjoy being in my classroom. I always find ways to make it fun, to have those little moments of laughter. I think they will enjoy. I think all of my students hold a special place in my heart, but I really remember the ones that had like that little personality that you can just tell, like very little, but they're funny, they're outgoing, and they just stay with you there. But I think everyone will always have a place in my heart.
My name is Roseanne Uresti. I'm a teacher at the Greyhound Online Academy, and I've been teaching for 5 years. I teach because I've always been a person who has a lot of empathy and compassion for others. I was in high school. It sparked my interest to working with children with special needs in the classroom as a student helper. And then after that, once I went to college, I took some courses because I was interested and found my passion in teaching. The biggest challenge that I've encountered would be the students who need more hands-on. If it's either like physical prompting, things like that, we always have to rely real heavily on the adult in the room with them. So if that's mom or dad or grandparent, or if they have an in-home nurse, we have to make sure that our communication is good with them so that we can get those skills built, whatever their goals may be. I refer to them as my kids, as most teachers, and so whenever I mention that to family, they're a little confused, but then once I explain to them that, you're with them every day pretty much, for the entire school year, and you really do create that bonding, even though it's remote too. Like, we still create that special rapport with each student. The student gives you, reassures you, by verbalizing that, thank you, or, I appreciate the help, noticing those successes. I would agree that would be the most rewarding. The teachers at the Greyhound Online Academy love what they're doing, and we have a passion for teaching, and we love the opportunity to teach remote.
I think I teach because it's just a part of who I am.
Who are the two main characters in the story?
And you fall in love with the new group, the others leave, but they're always a part of you. So when the new kids come in, they just keep you motivated to continue teaching. And I mean, it's really hard. It's not an easy task. It really isn't. But they're very tiny, and this is where they're learning how to read. It's my job to get them there before they move on. I love to get them to that level. And to see them grow from the beginning to the end, it's like wow, I did that. I helped them grow. I helped them do that. One year I met a very special boy. So when he came in, when I met him, he had a lot of challenges. He was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. He was born with drugs in his system, and he was born with severe cleft.
The word is discover. Say discover.
He didn't talk much. And he had surgeries for cleft, but they really didn't help. But he needed somebody. So towards the end of the year, he came out of his shell, He started talking, interacting with the kids, and they would smile together, play together, and learn together. And I was there for him that year, and I always wonder about him.
Right. And Fabian?
Yes, I'm that student's teacher, but it took all of us to help them grow into the person they are. And if it wasn't for my colleagues, the ones who came before and the ones who are coming after, that child wouldn't reach their full potential. It's all of us. it's not just me. You know, I'm thankful they chose me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Okay, this is my 6th year, and I tell my husband, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. Yes, there's the stress is there, you know, but it doesn't weigh me down so much because I know that I can rely on those around me to help. You know, pre-K, kinder, first grade, maybe even up into second grade, because they are just so raw. You know, when they come in and you can just really see their faces light up, and, you know, they do the funniest things. Last year, I had an accident at school where I was sitting to help one of the kids clean out their desk, and the chair just broke. And I heard one of my students say, "Oh, we need a new teacher." I was like, "Hey, I'm still here. Is this one gonna get up or not?" You know, but I said, but thankfully, you know, everything was good. I like to communicate with the parents because for anything, they're their beginning teachers at home. You know, they start them off, you know, before they come to me. I think that is so important. I love to do home visits. I go to their home, you know, talk with them. I enjoy doing that, you know, because of that communication. So, yeah, I love to see where the children are at, you know, especially you know, when we were online, and, you know, you could see all these things happening there with them. You should see them when they're like, "Oh, the teacher's at my home," you know, and I want to give the support to the parent, but to them, you know, because they think, wow, you never come out of that school. That's the only place we ever see you. When they see me coming, so where's that it's just like, wow. Or did you do the one with 8 sides?
All right, ready?
My name is Carla Molina, and I am a teacher at Dr. Raul Garza Jr. STEAM Academy, and I've been teaching for 9 years. When I was very young, I was always around my aunt, who's now watching me from heaven and guiding me through heaven, but she was the one that I always looked up to. And ever since I was little, I would always help out in her little school in Mexico. So I already knew that I wanted to be a teacher. At the very beginning of the year, I love to get to know them. Not only academically where they're at, but as a person. Because before anything, I think a happy heart is a learning mind. Every time a child walks into my class, it's someone's everything, it's someone's world. And now if I understood it 100% back then, now I understand it at 1,000%, you know, because I know that my child goes to school and I want them to feel the way I want my kids to feel. I believe teaching, is everything I always dreamed of, to be honest. Being yourself, being silly. I love having fun. I think that's what makes my job so easy. I just feel like I belong there. I can be myself, and I love being silly with my kids. I literally have fun. You know, I try my best to make it fun because I remember having fun teachers. My students, they're the biggest reward, 100% of them. I seen them smile, like I mentioned to you, them having fun in my class, them looking forward or telling me they miss me after a weekend or after a whole week. They make my days, you know, seeing them smile and seeing them grow, not only academically but as people.
Abby, tracking, Abby.
Kindergarten is the absolute best grade level. I've taught first grade and kindergarten, and I've also been a reading coach for about 5 years with the district. But kinder is my #1 favorite thing to teach. They're my babies. I love them. I always wanted to be a teacher, probably since maybe high school. These people that I look up to, I go to them for advice even after all these years. My grade level, my friends in early childhood, we're always like talking to each other, what can we do? And for them to recognize me too, like that means a lot. It feels really good. You know how they always say it takes a village? That I could not do this job in kindergarten without my teacher assistant. Having someone else there in the room to help me daily with my classroom and to be a second teacher in the classroom, I want to give a big shout out to Miss Gonzalez because she is amazing. And there's not any early childhood teacher who can do this on their own. We have to work as a team together, and she's my absolute best person to do that with. Really hard to pick just like one big reward. I think being an educator is a reward in itself. Imagine in 27 years how many students have gone through with me as their teacher. We get to make such a difference in their lives. And being a kindergarten teacher, like I'm the one that gets to teach them how to read. Like that's my absolute favorite. It was early on, and I had a student named Matthew. He was like one of my challenging students. Maybe always acting up, but to get attention. I thought this is hard, and I didn't, but he wanted my love. He wanted my attention, everything. Well, one day when it was really cold, he didn't have a jacket, and I noticed it, and then the next day and the next day. So what I did is I got one of my son Matthew's jackets, and a little blue jean jacket, and I took it to him, and I said, my Matthew wants you to have this because you guys have the same name. And that little boy wore that jacket. I don't care if it was 100 degrees outside already, every single day, the rest of the year. And I never had another behavior problem with him. But it was just that simple little act of kindness and love that he needed so bad that was like the game changer.
Check your timeline for the space
in my opinion, it's about inspiring the students. We only have them for a short time, and if we can connect with them, I mean, obviously, I'm a science teacher, so I'm going to push for science and anything to connect them to the science aspect. But I feel like teaching is more than just learning content. It's connecting with the students and getting to know them. Just making them feel comfortable in their surroundings, because a lot of the times there's a lot of students that don't get that at home, and just knowing that they can go into a classroom and feel that safety, I feel like that's something that's also our job, because being an educator, you get kids from across the spectrum and from all different backgrounds, and it's our job to at least be there for them to make sure that they feel safe, and then also just to make sure that they love education, because I love science and I want to inspire that for kids too. I'd have to just say, just looking forward to, like I've said it before, I love science, and getting to see the expression on my students' faces, and they're like, what, miss? But you're already getting their brains going. They have these ideas already, so you're just confirming or just like, okay, validating what they know or what they may not know. I was actually shocked whenever I saw my name like on the ballot, like the choices, and so I was like, what? I was like, me? Because I was like second year, and but I was extremely humbled by it, because this year's been crazy and I've just been on the go all the time. Maybe they say like she's always doing something. I don't know how my name came up to the plate, but I do appreciate it. I'm very humbled and very appreciative of them nominating me and stuff. I was going to say, I was like, I don't know what they would say about me, but I would hope that they would say that I cared about them. I've always, my husband tells me, you care too much about your job. I was like, when you sign up to be a teacher, that's part of it. You're getting students and they turn into your kids. I totally get it, the elementary teachers, but middle school too. You get these kids and you take them in and you see them every day. Yes, it's for less time, because you only see them for like an hour each day. But it doesn't matter. We get those kids, and you take them in, and they make such an impact on us too. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how that works.
My name is Jaime Munoz. I've been working at Gateway to Graduation Academy for the past 5 years. being an alternative campus, that I honestly, when I talk to my colleagues, coworkers, it's a different setting compared to the traditional schools, because a lot of these students that come to our campus come with different personalities of why they're there. I have teen moms, teen dads. I have students that are coming out of the county jail. I enjoy it because I get to work with the students on a one-on-one basis. They come from different backgrounds. Not one student is the same. And I think it's one of the major components of being a teacher is that you got to listen to them. And then from there, find out what can you work with or what they're giving you. Once you break that wall, then you can work with them. You build a rapport with that. So I think that's one of the things is able to listen what they got to say to you. At a traditional school, at least what I've experienced, being a coach, and is nothing compared to what I do now. Now, how am I going to challenge myself to help this student? I guess the challenge itself, it's one of the things that gets me going, that motivates me. But at the high school here at Gateway, it is the more satisfaction of me helping the students graduate. That I think that was the difference of 3 campuses, or 3, elementary, junior, high school. And the most rewarding was having the students graduate.
Coming into the profession, I would say that you need to be very flexible in everything that you do. That's a skill that we need to be quick and being able to change our routine. If something comes up, we need to be ready to change what we're doing, have less time, we have more time, but being ready to change things around is definitely one of the biggest ones. The reason why I teach is because I enjoy working with students, kind of molding them into young adults that I know that they're going to become. I enjoy being around them. To me, they're like my second children, my second set of children. I have my own, but they are kind of like an extension of that. So I really enjoy working with them. There is one student that I remembered when I first started teaching first grade, my very first year, and I was in constant contact with the parents. And I remember at the end of the school year, there was a handwritten note in my mailbox, and I opened that letter, and it happened to be from the parent who was thanking me for all the changes in the child's life. Well, let's move that down 25 years later. At my school, it just so happened that his child now attends that school, and he saw me in the pickup line and says, "Ms. Ramirez, remember me?" And I said, "Oh yes, how are you?" And he still remembered me, and that was just an awe moment for me. I was very honored and humbled, not expecting it, because they know how much work and effort I put into every day, into being there for my students, into guiding them, into being there for them. I would hope that my students say that I was one of the ones who helped to guide them and encourage them, and knowing that I was there for them, caring for them, nurturing them, and helping them in their path.
PRC is very structured compared to other DAEP settings that I've been in. And the students like it. It's small, it's structured. They love that there's no drama. They love that it's small. They love that they can get busy and do their work. That has not been what I've been used to in the past. So it's been an adjustment for me, but the students like that type of structure. Troy. I was his 5th grade teacher. He came to me out of foster care. He was taken away from his mother, who was living with her brother, who was involved in drugs. And because This young man was in a situation. They put him in foster care. He was physically and emotionally abused. And he came to me with so much hatred and so much anger. And slowly but surely, we worked through it, and we worked through his academics because he was behind. And Troy, to this day, attributes his success to me and still sends me messages that he's doing well. He finished college, he's an auto mechanic, and he's living on his own and is doing well. But that student really sticks out to me because he said he would have been lost and in trouble if it weren't for me caring about him and sticking with him all the way through school, from elementary on up. My students motivate me. I had a student the other day say, you know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be reading right now. And this is a high school student. So that's what inspires me. Look for those emails, those letters, those drawings. I keep a box for everything that a student has ever given me. And on those days that I'm struggling, and I have those even 24 years later, it seems to be more prevalent now since COVID, I look through that box, and I'm like, okay, this is why I still do what I do, and I've got to keep at it. I teach because it's my calling. I teach because it's my passion. I teach because I want to instill the skills that these kids need to go out and make a difference in their community.
Metaphor.
I really can't say that there is a pinpoint in my life that said I wanted to teach. I went to college and I got a degree in psychology. So it really wasn't in the plan to teach. So I went and I applied to San Benito to be a para. I'm like, oh, let's see how that goes. And I enjoyed it. And I'm like, well, I think that's what I want to do. So while I was a para, I went and did A-STEP. So I got my alternative. And I was asked once, like, how do you teach the way you do? I teach every day the way I would want them to teach my daughter. Because we have so much fun. Like, we're moving, we're dancing, we're doing projects or experiments. And I would want that for my daughter. Like, that's how they learn. Different ways, obviously. But, and she has had great teachers. She was here in San Benito. She had amazing teachers, So that's my drive. Like, I teach every day the way I'd want my daughter to be taught. I think one of the biggest challenges that I face is having them believe in themselves, especially with COVID. They were home for such a long period of time where they had one assignment and then they were off for like 2 hours. I told them, I believe in you, that's halfway through. I'm like, you have to do the other half, and you have to have heart. That's something that I feel that we have to have, because some of these kids have backgrounds that we don't know what happens. And they want that smile or that pump or, that side hug. That's what they need. And that might be the only one they have. When someone an old student comes up and says, hey, miss, you remember me? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how you doing? They're like, man, your class was so fun, miss. Like, we learned a lot. I'm like, good. I'm like, that's what I want. And one was like, you made me believe that I could do it. And he's like, and look, I'm graduating. I'm like, there it is. One girl, she brought home her homework. She brought back homework, and it was a cut and paste assignment. And she didn't want to turn it into me. And I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, turn it in. She's like, no. She's like, I'll do it before I leave to PE. So PE comes, she stays. I'm like, what's the matter? She's like, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, why are you embarrassed? She's like, we didn't have glue. I'm like, okay. I'm like, but it's on here. She's like, my mom had to get flour and water and mix it. And so she made a paste. And I got emotional because my mom did that for me when I was little. Like, we didn't have a lot, and a lot of people don't have a lot. But there wasn't an excuse for her not to do her homework. And that's how my mom was too. She's like, don't worry, I'll make you a paste. And I was embarrassed too because it dries and there's a white little powder at the end. And I told her my story, and I'm like, Mika, it's the best thing. I'm like, you go home and you hug your mom. I'm like, she didn't let you fail. You can use flour all day if you want to. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, you turned it in. I'm like, and this is the best one I've ever had. And she walked out so proud. It's those parents that say, you know what, regardless of what we have or don't have, we're going to get it done. And that's what it's about. Like, seriously, like, hold on. But yeah, that's what it's about. That's why I do what I do.